Hello, viewers, and welcome to another episode of the Woke Africa Show. Now, I get quite busy, these days, and I just thought, let me quickly steal time to come to you because, I just want to get talking to you people. Well, it's a wonderful Tuesday morning, and I was doing a research, and I came across something about John Horse and the Black Seminoles movement, and I just wonder why this story is never told. This story is never told, and I just wonder why, because it's not even, it's not just a story about black heroism, but also scores of white people that helped in the struggle against slavery, and this is a story that is worth telling, but I don't see anything about it in the movie industry, like even talking about slavery. I don't hear much about it, and this was the biggest pro-freedom movement the country, that's the USA, ever witnessed. And I think that they were the only group of people that were able to negotiate a peace deal with the US government. And the peace deal was that the US government was no longer going to pursue them as runaway slaves, and they were no longer going to attack and fight with the US government. And this deal was supposed to enforce the new freedom that they had. And the sad aspect of it is that at a point in time, the US government went back on their word, and suddenly free people became slaves again, and then pursued by all these slave catchers. And so they were forced into an alliance with Mexico, and later were given land in Mexico, and till today they form a part of the rich culture of Mexico. So if you want to hear more about this story, if you want to hear more about John Horse and the Black Seminoles, make a date with me tonight, let's say in about 6 to 7 hours, for a live show, and I'm going to talk about the whole thing, what transpired, who were behind it, the achievements, the struggle, the fight, because it was like for decades, decades upon decades of resistance, and the fight for freedom. Look, I always ask you, what is the price you're willing to pay for freedom? As Africa, what is the price are we willing to pay for our economic liberation and freedom? I always say that I do not preach hatred on my channel. I'm not preaching hatred against any race. But what I'm saying is that there are institutionalized form of systems that are ensuring slavery, continues today. Economically, emotionally, mentally, those are the key indicators that we have to look at, and we have to think about liberating our mind. If I see the self-hatred that's going on, especially here in Africa, they have something called the pull him down syndrome. Pull him down syndrome, when you see a sister or a brother succeeding at something, the jealousy alone. And that is how people are motivated to cut each other down, and it's all because of the self-hate that we've grown up to see on the televisions, the Western media. That's the kind of mentality that has been put in our heads. We need to kind of retrace our steps, and to point to a direction where we will find ourselves and who we are. So the purpose of me going back into history and bringing out all these heroes and their efforts, during the slave trade is because I want us to start to appreciate that when they say that the black man is not capable of running his own affairs, or slavery was a choice, or we're too weak, or we're too meager. The word is not meager. I think the perception that we are too weak and we are not courageous enough and we are not confident enough to run our own affairs. Well, the only disadvantage we were suffered with was advanced technology that we didn't have at the time. But when it comes to sheer grit, when it comes to the sheer struggle and the sheer desire to live life, there is no race on earth that wants to live as much as the black people, melanated people. Like, we have gone through all the talk about it, like the worst kind of inhuman treatments, and we have survived. So the fight is still in us. The fight is still in us. What we have to push for now, we're talking about awakening, reawakening of the African continent, reawakening of the African diaspora and all of that. We have to reawaken onto financial freedom, financial empowerment. As I'm talking to you, there's financial colonialism going on. And the neo-colonial institutions are making sure that it continues in Africa. If you look at what France is doing in Africa, it's distasteful. If you look at what the West is doing here, the intimidation tactics, everything is distasteful. And people just can't talk about it. But that is why you and I are here. As I said, I'm not interested in preaching hatred against any race, but we're going to tell the truth. We're going to say it as it is. So if you want to have a voice like I do, like you do, like we must have, make a date with me in 6 or 7 hours. Let us, meet and have a discussion, because it's about talking about it that we know what the problems are to deal with and to solve. So, I know a lot of you are in the holiday season. I'm not so much into the Christmas thing, but I do appreciate that it's a holiday and I want to bring you the vibe. So the holiday season is coming in, and I want to bring you the positive vibe of celebration, positive energy, connect with the positive energy of nature and bring good tidings unto yourself and your family. I love you. Have a fantastic day. If you're going to bed, have a wonderful night. Have powerful dreams and come back and share with us. So, how do I call it? Great tidings. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to my channel, because you want to. You like this conversation. Subscribe to my channel, share with friends and loved ones, and let's continue the conversation. I love you. Take good care of yourself. We need you to survive. We need each other to survive. Mwah!